Good afternoon. Welcome back. Kent Bain with Nine Business Group and Elevate Your Business Spotlight interview. We have the pleasure of Amit joining us today. Amit, please introduce yourself, your company, what makes you guys different, what sets you apart, and if possibly, why would people buy from you versus your competition? Amit, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Kent. It is a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me. So, my name is Amit Bhargav, and the company I represent is Enviro Apps. What we are doing is transforming the industry out of paper forms. So, think of it every time there is a dangerous good movement or a hazardous waste movement, uh, its characteristics, classifications, the information that emergency responders need to deal with it in an emergency actually is on a sheet of paper which is inside the truck. How wrong is that? Right? That's the last place you want to keep that information. And this is how we are doing things. Like we can track our food coming from a restaurant delivery every second, but a lot of these shipping movements are not being watched that closely. It's kind of ironic. Anyways, so that's what we are set to change. We have a digital solution for tracking dangerous goods as well as hazardous waste, and we have been in the market for a number of years. We are being used by the largest natural gas producer in Canada, and we have other clients who are into chemicals processing and manufacturing and processing as well. And so we are looking to gain more market share and reach out to as many people as we want, because people do not know how this is being done right now, and them not knowing any about the alternatives, they're not even considering it. So my job here is to spread this word as much as possible. What sets us apart is we have a very quick and very streamlined way of implementation. So if you think of softwares, people get scared of multi months or multi year implementations. What we promise is a very short implementation period. Our last implementation was done in less than 3 weeks, and the client is super happy about it. So that's one. Then we also have a fully developed iOS and Android app that can be used. None of our competitors have that. And the biggest of them all is we are the only company right now that have been um, have been audited by Transport Canada, and we have two of our clients that have used this for transportation of dangerous goods, and it has been in use for more than 2 years. So that's kind of what we are up to. We are a front runner in this.
Cool. I got a gazillion questions that aren't part of the
Mhm.
interview process, so I'm going to come up with the next best one, a little bit off script,
Sure.
if you don't mind. So sounds simple enough,
Mhm.
but it with a 3 week implementation, obviously very short. But if I think about just putting an app, how would it work, or walk me through how a business would go about implementing this? Is it so? Would you sell it to a long haul trucker, a trucking company, and they would do it in house, or does it come from the supplier like Imperial Oil or Petro Canada?
Yeah, great question. Because there are responsibilities defined in laws and regulations, and the responsibility for having this paperwork is is with the shipper or the owner of the dangerous good. So the carriers are merely acting on behalf of the shipper. They have delegated responsibilities from the shipper who owns the product. So it's the big energy companies who are mostly responsible for this, and they would use. But in this case, our those are our primary customers. But ultimately, carriers could be our customers too, because they could offer the advantages of productivity to their clients, and less time and easier to manage compared to paper, right? Because what is happening is the regulations also require you to keep that paperwork for a minimum of 2 years. So imagine the amount of work that kind of generates, because now somebody has to copy it multiple times, maybe scan it, keep it somewhere, save it, and then at the end of the day, destroy those documents. But it creates a whole lot of work for everybody, which is almost anywhere from $20 to $50 a shipping document. It's a huge cost to the industry, which kind of goes unnoticed because they think it's free. The paper forms are free. They're actually never free. It's the people's time that is going into it, and you can reduce that. You can't really eliminate any of the jobs with this, but it will free up time for these folks that can do more productive work.
No
That's how
kidding.
I see it.
Well, it's not just the paper. It's the people populating the paper. It's the people
Yep.
reading it. It's the misunderstanding. It's the typos. It's all the
Yes.
things that come with human error. So since you started in business, what has been the biggest challenge you had to overcome? How did you tackle it? How did you solve it?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge is obviously whenever you do something different, you're a disruptor. This is how we have done it for the last 40 years. So when we created this in 2020, we were the first company in Canada, in fact, in North America, to have a digital TDG shipping document. And they obviously the hurdle was to convince people to start using it and even to try it. So we were lucky enough to have a very progressive client partnered with us, and they were able to bring this together. We were actually nominated for the the Global Energy Awards under Digital Disruptor category last year, and initially we were also nominated for collaborative work. And last year we won an honorable mention for the Suzanne West Environmental Excellence Award.
Nice, good for you. What is
Thank you.
one thing you know now that you
Mhm.
wish you would have known 2.5 years ago?
Yeah, great question. It's some of the things that come with experience, and some of the advice out there. If we had known about accelerators before, we would have joined them. And when we were making the classic mistakes of chasing the biggest companies that are very visible, but as you know, the bigger the company, the slower the decision making, and a startup cannot really survive through that. That's what was our biggest learning, was to have found the right kind of clients that can move quickly, so you can get the traction and revenue. And then of course the big ones will always adopt, but they take their time and decision making, and which is kind of how this is. It's the
So
reality.
in summary, it's really about picking not necessarily a niche, but taking the niche, but really getting in on the right size target audience first. So
Correct.
when you leave out of the box, you're not putting yourself in front of a 12 or 15-month sell cycle. It's
Yeah,
a right size company that you can make some money on, but should be able to have a quick turnaround time of decision making. Great advice.
absolutely.
If there was a thief, a pirate in your
Mhm.
business or around your business, what would they be stealing from you?
Hmm. That's an interesting question. I don't think they can steal much because it's the product, it's the knowledge that we have, it's the experience we have. Of course, they can copy it. That's the only thing I can think of is what we have in our user interface and things like that. But it is our experience that that is hard to steal. We are the ones who did this for the first time in Canada. I mean, can a thief say that? I don't think so.
So it's really your in-house knowledge and experience.
Yes.
Yep, yep. And it's more, I've asked that question several times now, but what it comes to is it is the thing that is most important to you, that you
Oh,
put the
okay.
most value in. And I think
Yeah.
that's spot on. It's exactly
Yeah.
what it is for you. In 2.5, 3 years, think about the definition of a successful business. So, what was your definition of a successful business when you started? And is it still the same today, or is your definition of success now different?
I think we started with a decent definition. Of course, a business has to be profitable to keep going. Um, but the biggest thing is have a purpose. And we found our purpose in this because how important this is to public safety. Dangerous goods moving around in our communities, and we need a better way of dealing with that information and getting it in the hands of the emergency responders, because they're putting their life at risk to deal with an emergency. So the least we can ask the industry is to give them the right information quickly and reliably. So when you deal with paper forms, sometimes the basic problem, like you said, is legibility. You can't even read somebody's handwriting. So what use is it of, right? And there's so many other things that are wrong with this, the way it's being done. It's time for change.
I agree. My favorite question to wrap it up: what do you want to be known for?
So we want to be known for solving this problem, in the sense, helping out with making lives easier and better for our communities, for our emergency responders and the society as a whole. Yeah, it is a tough problem to solve, and even Transport Canada recognized that in their last report on the regulatory sandbox project. This trucking to like especially on the trucking side, it's very hard to get all the parties to kind of adopt a system, and we are trying our best to do that, and hopefully we'll succeed. So if we can turn the tide and go paperless on transportation of dangerous goods, it'll be a positive for the society. And also it's a global problem, so it's not just us. We are actually ahead of the game. Transport Canada is quite progressive that way, and they are the first ones in North America, and now United States is also looking at something similar.
Fantastic. So to wrap this up, who is your intended audience? We kind of have a rough idea. And how would they find you? So just give us that 30-second infomercial. Here you'll find this, and here's who we want to find this, because here are the types of companies we want to help.
Right. So our target audience is shippers that move around any of the dangerous goods, be it chemicals, be it fuels, and also anybody that generates waste and they are responsible for its disposal. So we do both. We tackle both problems, and in fact, we have another solution for water use tracking. And they can find us on our LinkedIn page, as well as through our website, which is enviroapps.ca. So keep that in mind, .ca. We are a Canadian company. There is another company with a similar name, but they do things somewhat differently.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Amit. We appreciate it. Keep up the amazing work. And to your
Thank you.
point, keeping our first responders and our community safe. Have an amazing week.
Thank you so much, Kent.
You're
Thanks
welcome. Bye
for
for
the
now.
opportunity.